This woman's going on a blind date in the place of a friend. To try and ruin the date, she pulls out every trick in the book, from acting like a crazy gold digger to pretending she's a mistress to lots of men and suggesting that they have sex on the first date. But it doesn't go to plan. The guy accepts her offer of sex and decides to marry her. Hello everyone, 10-minute recaps here. Today we'll be starting a new Korean drama, Business Proposal. Without further ado, let's get into it. Tae-moo is returning to Korea to inherit his family business, a billion-dollar company selling snacks. When we're introduced to him, he's a narcissistic guy who only cares about his job. To celebrate his grandson returning to Korea, Tae-moo's grandfather arranges an inauguration ceremony for the employees of the company. Shin Ha-ri is a low-level employee of the company who helps design the food products that they sell. When Tae-moo doesn't show up to his own inauguration ceremony and instead sends his secretary Sung-hoon to deliver a 10-second long thank you speech about how he didn't want a ceremony, Hari starts to get interested in this unique man. It turns out that instead of going to the speech, Tae-moo has gone to play golf with Mr. Park, a senior executive at the company who wanted the position Tae-moo got. Rather than playing nice with his rival, Tae-moo casually destroys him at golf while telling him that he knows all about the corruption Mr. Park is engaged in and that his judgment day is coming. After scaring Mr. Park, Tae-moo just casually walks off and goes back to his office, where his grandfather is waiting, furious that he skipped the inauguration. His grandfather also demands that he gets married as soon as possible and tries to set Tae-moo up on blind dates with the daughters of fellow billionaires. But Tae-moo doesn't want to go on dates because it distracts him from his work. Meanwhile, over at Hari's office, it turns out that it's her birthday and her colleagues want to have dinner with her to celebrate. She wants to go, but when she gets a text from her longtime crush Min-woo asking to meet up, she gets super excited, abandons her colleagues and heads off to meet him. On the way there, she gets a call from her best friend Yong-seol. When Yong-seol hears about Min-woo asking Hari to meet him, she guesses that the necklace they found last time in the restaurant Min-woo owns is a present for Hari, and that he wants to start dating her. When Hari gets to the restaurant, there's only the two of them there, and Hari sees Min-woo carrying a beautiful cake. Yong-seol's messages to her, telling her to be brave and pursue her love, flash through Hari's mind, and she gets so excited she starts sprinting towards Min-woo. When she gets closer, she's devastated to notice that the name on the cake isn't hers, and she can't stop running in time. She ends up with cake all over her, and when they're cleaning up the mess, Min-woo gives Hari her real present. 2 tickets to her favourite concert, and a message to find a guy to watch it with. Hari went from thinking she was going to start dating her 10-year-long crush to being rejected by him in the space of 10 minutes. Unsurprisingly, when she got home to the fried chicken shop her family owns, she was in an absolutely foul mood, arguing with her mum and dad over the smallest things. Things get worse when she hears an argument coming from outside the shop. It turns out that the fish store from across the street has thrown their trash in front of the fried chicken shop and is refusing to take it back. The already angry Hari accidentally pushes the fish shop owner too hard and he falls over, getting hurt. Now, she needs to pay for his hospital bills, making an already terrible day even worse. The next day, Tae-moo's having breakfast with his granddad while trying to get the corrupt Mr. Park fired. His granddad doesn't want to fire him because Mr. Park's father helped start the company and is a good friend of his. Eventually, they reach a compromise. Granddad will fire Mr. Park if Tae-moo goes on blind dates. Going back to Hari, we see her meeting with Yong-seol to commiserate their terrible lives. It turns out that Hari isn't the only one with dating problems. Yong-seol's billionaire dad, who she doesn't get along with, has set up a blind date for Yong-seol. She doesn't want to get forced into an arranged marriage and asks Hari to go instead of her and help her get rejected. Hari thinks back to the last blind date Yong-seol's dad set up. On that date, Hari pretended to be a crazy Yong-seol who communicated with ghosts. With some nice cooperation from Yong-seol acting as a ghost, they scared the date so much that he fainted. Initially, Hari doesn't want to do it, but when Yong-seol offers to pay her enough money to cover the hospital bill, she changes her mind. Hari has a makeover to make her look more convincing as a rich kid. She gets a face full of extra thick makeup, gets dressed from head to toe in the latest fashion statements, and puts on a wig. As you've probably guessed, the blind date Yong-seol's father set up is with Tae-moo. When Hari sees Tae-moo, she's immediately overwhelmed by his handsomeness and nearly forgets her mission to ruin the date. But when Tae-moo hands her his business card, she snaps back to reality. She's here trying to scam her boss. If Tae-moo finds out about the lie, her job could be in danger. She needs to end this as quickly as possible. But all of the strategies that she tries, from being rude to pretending to be a gold digger to acting uncivilized, don't work. She ends up using her ultimate strategy, suggesting that they rent a room in the hotel and have sex after dinner. Any other upper-class Korean guy would be scared off by this crazy woman, but Tae-moo sees her nervousness and calls her bluff, going as far as booking a room after their dinner. Hari decides to run away, but a woman mistakes her for the mistress of a cheating husband and starts yelling at her. When Tae-moo sees this, he steps in and saves her, telling the woman to go after her own husband instead of Hari. After they leave the woman, Hari goes along with the story, saying that she dates 3 or 4 men at the same time. When Tae-moo is going home with Sung-hoon, he tells him that he's decided to marry Yong-seol. Sung-hoon doesn't understand why he would be interested in such a crazy woman, but Tae-moo explains that he only wants to marry to stop having to go on blind dates, and that at least Yong-seol is interesting, unlike all the women he meets. In his eyes, love doesn't exist. The next day, when going to work, Hari accidentally gets in the same elevator as Tae-moo and his granddad, but isn't recognised. For a bit of context, in the manga that the TV series is adapted from, Hari wears a pink wig when pretending to be Yong-seol, so she looks very different to her normal self. You have to excuse everyone in the TV series seemingly being blind. When Tae-moo gets to his office, he even remembers Hari's work and says that he thinks she's a great employee. Later that day, Yong-seol and Sung-hoon run into each other at a convenience store. Sung-hoon sees Yong-seol comforting a child and can't help but feel attracted to this beautiful and kind woman. When they leave the store, they bump into each other, and when Yong-seol sees Sung-hoon, she falls in love at first sight. But she's not brave enough to ask him for his number, and they miss out on each other for now. At the end of the episode, Hari meets Tae-moo again to reject his marriage proposal. Tae-moo unsuccessfully tries to call Yong-seol, but sees Hari on her phone and assumes that she gave him a fake number. So, he takes her phone and adds himself as a contact. He ignores her when she says that she doesn't want to marry him and just lays out all of his advantages. When he whispers to Hari that he's amazing in bed and he can guarantee she'll never cheat on him, Hari can't stand his advances anymore. She tells him that she never wants to see him again and runs away. Coincidentally, Hari runs into Min-woo outside the restaurant. She feels embarrassed by the way she's dressed, so she escapes into Tae-moo's car to hide, just after she told him she never wanted to see him again. At this moment, you can feel love in the air. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.